Welcome back to another Mind on Mic podcast, but specifically a Shubz POV. If you know Mind on Mic podcast, then you'll probably know my face, Shubz. You can't pretty much see any Mind on Mic without seeing me because I'm in every episode so far. Yeah, I'm Shubz, host of Mind on Mic podcast, co-host with many other hosts, my bro Stewie, brother Stu, my sister Maddie, my brother Lecca. Even my uncle Pete jumps on for quite a lot of episodes. Always on when the football's on, or you might even be in the background when I'm interviewing your favorite human being, but you just don't know. But anyway, Mind the Mic is a baby of mine that I cultivated in my mind for a long, long time. If you've already listened to the other ones, then you already know you can skip to the next part of the episode or fuck off. I don't really mind. But Shubs POV, this is number four. Four. And I've been trying to push myself to do this more because I know that with all these interviews and we sit down with cool people, but you can get lost in all of the, I guess, hype and all of the fascination around the people that we are sitting down with and even all the other stuff that we do. But I put in a lot of work into this fucking thing, man. Like a lot. I don't know what the hours are. Some days I'm doing this for 20 hours of the day. A lot of the days. I mean, you don't get to what are we right now as it stands. When this comes out, it'll be episode 183. So you don't get to 183 episodes and they're all an hour plus besides these little Shubs POVs are only short. You don't get to doing that many episodes in 4 or 5 months time without putting in work. And they're not just stupid episodes with like nothing, talking about nothing. They're literally so much value, so many people's journeys, so many people's stories, so many people's struggles, so many people's triumph, so many blueprints of how to be successful, which I'm realizing right now it's the same, like all around, like pretty much. Like obviously, there's different nuances to each field that you might be in. There's different, subtleties, subtle differences. But the key ingredients to success with a lot of these people that are quite successful in their own fields and in their own right and in life is just fucking doing it. Like just do it. Like if you got an idea in your mind and you have the skills and you do, just back yourself. Go for it and be consistent. And don't listen to anything but what you know is true. Like you can listen to other people for advice, of course. We should constructive criticism and all of that good stuff, and direction is good. But at the end of the day, you've got to walk in your fucking shoes. You know what I mean? Or if you don't have feet, then you know what I mean. You've got to, what would we say? Crawl, I guess. I don't roll. You've got to roll in your chair, cuz. You know what I mean? Sorry, brothers. I just forgot that. Yeah, not everyone has fucking legs, Shubs. But that's the thing. Like the success part of uh, all of it is literally just go get it and fuck what anybody says. You know what I mean? Fuck them. I spoke about it on Empathy and Energy the other night about how people will, like try to get in your mind about this and that. And I had a dope conversation with the Bro Universal. That podcast will come out in a few weeks. But he said, when I asked him for what's your piece of advice for somebody that's an artist or just even a human in general that wants to either get into what you're doing to become a rapper, because he's a rapper out of Perth. Shout out to Universal. And he just said, stop being a bitch. Stop being a fucking bitch. Like straight up. Like if you want to do whatever the fuck you want to do, like why aren't you? Oh, because of this, because of that. Usually the real reason, like take away money, take away time, blah 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 blah. Because if you want to fucking do it, you'll make the time. What it is straight up being a bitch. I love that, bro. That line resonated because for me, fuck, I was a bitch for ages about doing this, what I'm doing here. I should have done it ages ago. I fucked around and did heaps of other shit that didn't really resonate with me, but I was just doing it. You know what I mean? This right here feels real to me. This shit right here feels like home to me. This shit doesn't feel like work, though it is hard work we put in to cover, you know what I mean? 200 plus episodes, like I said, in such a short amount of time. You have to put in hard work, but that's not the only fucking ingredient, you know. People talk about it like hard work gets you places. Yeah, but that's like that's a that's a obvious thing when it comes with success, right? The hard work, you gotta grind. But people will tell you hard work, like if hard work is the only way you become successful, then they'd be like construction workers would be billionaires. You know what I mean? But they're not, you know. I've been one. And I worked hard when I did work in construction. I went, but you know what I mean? Anybody that worked with me in any field could tell you that I didn't, bro. Like your boy went hard, cuss. You know what I mean? But I was also like in my mind knew that, bro, this thing, I don't want to be 80 years old and fucking broken because you've worked for some other motherfucker for all your life. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm where I need to be right now either. But for me personally, that just isn't my flavor. For some, they like working for other people for, you know what I mean? I don't like it. You know what I mean? My baby mama told me once, she's like, you're not made to work for people. You know what I mean? Like, you just aren't like, and she's right. She's right in a lot of ways, man. But at the same time, I should have took that shit a long time ago and did what I'm doing now way back, you know. But hey, we're here fucking now. Another thing, I had a conversation with the bro Edgar, the Dream Killer Plazaola. He's a BKFC bare knuckle fighter. He's got a fight coming up on the 21st of June. And the bro's like 36 years old, and he's decided that now, you know, like now it doesn't matter that he's 36 and like he took like 6 years off of his career to make money for his family. Like now he's just going ham for it. Like no matter what, he's gonna, and he feels like, hey, I haven't taken much damage in my career. I'm gonna fight for a long time and I want the belt. I love that. I love that he's 36. Like people say 36 and you're a fighter and be like, ooh, you know what I mean? But like maybe he's getting towards going, you know, the decline, or not that you're declining, because look at the also Mark Hunt. He's 50 this year. And the brothers still wants the bag in, and everybody knows if the bro puts in the mahi and puts in their work, you know, gets himself to where he needs to be, bro, he can foot it with the best of them. I still believe, even at 50 years. Look at Mike Tyson. Yeah, they on some shit. Like I'm not talking about the whole smack, but Mike is for sure. Like, you know, he's spoken about it. But if he's on some shit and they all good with it on the other side of things, then cool. But for me, I'm just thinking about no matter your fucking age, like fuck the excuses. Like I remember sitting as a young buck in with my dad, and me and my dad didn't really have a good relationship. Like we have a better one now, but even then, like I hardly see him, and we live in the same city. But I don't really see many people anyway because I'm just so locked in at doing what I'm doing. But my dad, he sat there one year, and it was nearly New Year's, and he said to me and my brother and my bro Mimi. Actually, let me tell you a story about Mimi. I go everywhere, so stay with me, fam. My bro Mimi. So Mimi in Maori means piss. Like, you know, when you urine, you know, when you urinate, piss, yeah, that stuff. The liquid that comes out of your penis or vagina, that isn't squirt. Oh, I guess squirt is sort of PA and isn't um cum or spuff. I don't know what you call it. Yeah. What do they call it? What is it called? Sperm. That's the one. The bro sperm. Yeah. So piss, urine. Mimi is the word for piss. And he says to me and my brother, give me a Maori nickname. He's an Aussie dude. We're teenagers, man, and he lives next door to my dad. And yeah, we hang out with him all the time. And he just loves, you know, our culture, us, and how we are. And he just feels like, you know, he's Maori. So he said, "Sweet as brother, um, I got you one. It means mighty warrior." And he goes, "Oh, what's the name?" And I said, "It's Mimi." Obviously, you guys know now that it means piss, but he didn't realize that. So we go around, he meets heaps of people, and people get to know him as Mimi. And to this day, around our family and to my brother and I, and yeah, even the kids, that's Uncle Mimi, brother. Shout out to Mimi. And I got much love for my Aussie brother. I actually forgot what the fuck I was talking about. Oh, that's what it was. We were sitting outside in the pool, my dad's house, and looking up at the stars, and we're talking about, wow, that year went fast. And my dad said, and I'm fucking like, fuck, I don't know, like 14 or something at the time, 15, and I'm only at my dad's for like a little bit before, like I'm not there for long. My brother and I end up going back to New Zealand because our koro, our grandfather, he's dying of cancer. He's our step grandfather, which is a whole nother story. Like, um, so our mothers are sisters. When I say my brother, it's actually my first cousin. Shout out Jordan. Uh, and yeah, so our mothers are sisters, but we grew up like brothers, and like even though I haven't seen him for years, to be honest, but he's still my brother, you know what I mean? Always. And I love him to bits. We may not see eye to eye a lot of times, but he's my brother, man. You know what I mean? Like, and yeah, I love the cunt. You know what I mean? I protected him as a kid, you know, tried to as I got older. Sometimes he's been there for me, you know what I mean, when I needed it. And yeah, fuck, I even one time came home from fucking woke up at some fucking random's house after a game, after South Africa and the All Blacks played in the semi-final of the 2015 World Cup. My uncle, who people will know as Self-Centered, he's a rapper, very very talented rapper, very very skillful artist as well, drawer, amazing. He's the best like drawer I've ever seen. My son actually, I think, will come for the title, but he's still young. My son loves drawing, man. Like, yeah, my oldest one, the one that's the same age as Stu's oldest child. Yeah. Anyway, I wake up at this random house. I'm like, what the fuck am I? Wasted on the been on the piss, been on the drink, and my uncle. I'm like, oh, I'll go into this room. I'm like, oh, and then I see my uncle. He's there. So he's like my older brother too. My uncle, my dad's youngest brother, South-centered, but he's more like he's my uncle, and I've called him my uncle all my life pretty much. But he's my dad's youngest brother, and he's only like 7 years older than me, so he's not that much older. So anyway, my brother messages and goes, he's coming to pick us up, and then he picks us up. We go back to his house, and we go to have a fucking. We go in the room, and we look at like my brother's bed, me and my uncle, and my uncle looks in and goes, because it was the morning, right? And my uncle's thinking, "Fuck, I'm not sitting on that dirty bed. Like I don't know what's going on." My brother went to go get some drinks, like some juice or whatever, try and soak up some of that alcohol, maybe some bacon. I can't remember what he was doing. But and I just looked at it, I was like, oh fuck it. And I went and lied down, or just went and laid down, and bro, I put my hand in some shit, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And my hand was sticky as fuck. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then I looked at it, I was like, ah, bro, my man, my brother, spoofed her. He came on the bed, or on his blanket, I think it was, or whatever it was, and I put my fucking hand in it. So yeah, that was fucking, yeah, I wanted to cut my hand off that day. But yeah, that's my brother. My first cousin, but my brother. And our mothers and sisters, as I said. But my koro, when I speak about my koro or my grandfather, it's weird because I've got my dad's dad, who's my koro, my grandfather, like my on my dad's side. Koro means as grandfather in Maori. And then I have my koro pinto, who's my mum's birth father, who I was actually meant to live with when I was born. Or I did live with when I was born, and I was meant to stay there in Whakatane with him. She actually was, because she was a teenager when she had me, and my dad and her were both teenagers. So the story, from obviously I'm a fucking baby, so I don't know. I'm just going off of the letters that I've seen and the stories that I've heard. Obviously, stories change depending on the person you're talking to, but pretty much, yeah, I was gonna live with him. So that's my mum's real father, or real. When I say real, blood, because she considered them both her fathers. But then my grandmother, my mum's mum, was married to another guy who I can. When I say my kuro, I mean him usually, because he's the one that was the most prominent figure in my life, I guess, growing up. When it come to a male role model and stuff, like I spent time with all three of them, but the most time and most memorable times I ever had, I guess, and nostalgic times, and even just when it comes to straight knowledge came from him, man. Like when people say, fuck, the way you think, Shubs, is different. You know what I mean? Some say that, and not in a good way, but I don't give a fuck. It's just, and even the way I talk, a lot of people might not realize, but a lot of time I'm talking in riddles. Like when I say something, people will take it for face value, and sure, face value might make sense, but also there's like layers. Like it might mean like two, three different things, like a lot of good rappers do: double, triple entendres, quadruple entendres. You know, triple meanings. That's the way my grandfather used to talk. Like he used to talk in riddles all the time, and it's funny too. Shit that I heard him say years ago. And again, this is so he couldn't have kids. This guy, but yeah, he's the man. I love the guy. I mean, I love them all. Of course, they're all my grandfathers, all my grandmothers. I was fortunate enough to meet um, my great grandparents, all four great grandparents on my dad's side. His his um his dad's mum and dad were alive when I was born, and his mum's mum and dad were alive when I was born because I was a teenager, and then they were teenagers, so they were still. And then actually, well, my my great grandmother's still alive on my dad's mum's side now. Shout out Nanny Pearl. Well, I think so. Shit, I should actually check up on that fact. Nah, I think I would have heard if she's not around. She's a very sharp lady. But anyway, back to the whole koro. And yeah, so if you ever hear me speak on my koro, that's who I'm talking about most of the time is my koro honga. Honga means smelly in Maori because he used to have some gangster farts. But I don't even actually know because I don't even really think his farts were that gangster. I just think like, where did honga actually come from? Actually, I've got to find this out. Some people used to know him as Mahara. Used to be a bit of a dealer back in the days. But yeah, he was the fucking man. Like when I was born and when my mom became pregnant with me, he pulled my mom out of the shower, so she was a teenager. You know, this is his stepdaughter, but his daughter in his head. You know, he's been there since she was young. Um, you know, and she collapses in the shower. The story I'm told, and he takes her to the doctors or whatever, and then I don't know if they have a meeting or something happens, or maybe my grandparents on the other side come my dad's side come to see them, and they pretty much obviously want her to get rid of Shubs, the guy who's giving you the POV right now. They wanted to get rid of me, and like looking back, I understand they like we weren't religious men, like you know what I mean. Both sides of the family weren't religious, like the grandmother, the great grandparents were like some of them were religious, but yeah, my grandparents, like my mum's stepfather, or who was my koro, her mother, they weren't religious, and nor was my the other grandparents, my dad's parents. So there wasn't any religious sort of thing of like, no, we don't get abortions or anything. So they wanted to get rid of me, from what I understand, because they're teenagers. I understand, you know what I mean. They don't want their son to be tied down to a child. They also were parents that were teenagers too. They actually ran away from home. Well, not ran away, but like my grandmother, I think, was like 14 or something when she was pregnant with my dad. And my dad, and then his dad was like, I think, yeah, maybe 15, 16. They were neighbors. They're neighbors, and they went from Wanganui all the way down in Vikago, and like moved down there to sort of have my dad. But then my dad was taken off them, from what I understand, and lived with his grandmother on his dad's side. So my dad's mother's uh brother or sister, something like that. I think it was brother. Yeah. And then my dad was given one name. So my dad's name he was given was Leon as his first name, but no one knows him as that, like zero. Like legally his name was Leon, but everybody knows his ass as Leroy. Shout out Leroy. But again, so he was born to teenage parents. They were teenage. So I'm guessing but I think it's like a year or two later, my grandmother sort of realizes that he wasn't being looked after, and she kept his name as her maiden name, so that if she needed to, she could get him back. And yeah, she ends up getting him back when he's at like 2. Um, the story she told me is that they had moved back to they had moved to Wellington, which is, I don't know if you know geography, but if you're listening to this from a different country other than New Zealand and you don't understand or know anything about it, so Wellington is at the bottom of the North Island. My grandparents at the time and my father was born in Invercargill, which is the bottom of the South Island. Ah, yeah, it's the home of the fastest Indian, I guess. If you've seen that movie, Burt Munro. Yeah, home of the stags. Well, what else is Invercargill home to? I don't know. My has been pretty prominent down there. My dad's father. Anyway. Um, yeah, so that's where they were born. So I don't know if they moved down there for there used to be a freezing works called Ocean Beach, or down in Ocean Beach, down by Bluff, and that there used to be a freezing works there that was a meat works if you're in Australia, and that's how my grandparents migrated down there. Like all of them, I'm pretty sure that's what the go was, that they all ended up down there for that, to work in the freezing works. But yeah, so when my dad's born, uh his new parents, whatever, they take him from, because they couldn't have kids or whatever, and they take him back to Wellington. My grandmother and his mum and dad stay in Invercargill, and a year later, I think the ones that are looking after him move down to Invercargill, and then my nan starts to visit him a bit, and she sort of sees that I think he got left. She went there, and like the lady who had gone to the shop, and my dad was left unattended, sort of thing. So my nan sort of decided and packed up shit and was like, "Nah, he's my son's coming home with me." So I think too, my grandmother really has because of that time, and I could understand it, I guess, being a mother, and I feel like for years she obviously really maybe she really held that, because she'd always make up excuses for my dad. Like, out of all of her kids, my dad would get all the excuses from, and this is coming from a guy who always like wanted to see my dad, who and my dad, like, I love my dad, don't get me wrong, but he was never there, man. You know what I mean? And I understand now, he was a fucking teenager, but when I was a kid, I didn't understand that shit. You know what I mean? And yeah, there's a lot of times in my life where my nan just wouldn't admit that my dad was fucking up and shit like that. You know what I mean? But she'd, happily talk about a lot of our other kids' problems. And hey, I'm not dissing my nan either. We all learning here, right? I'm fucking learning. Like, I'm sharing. Yeah, I'm learning. It's a journey, man. And yeah, I love that lady. She's solid. She's a solid lady. Bit of a hippie sort of style, like thoughts, loves star signs and all that kind of stuff. But I've had some of the most interesting and most in-depth conversations of my life with that lady. And yeah, shout out my name, man. Nanny Colleen on my dad's side. Yeah. I don't even know, how did I even get here? I don't know. You just talk, and yeah, that's where you go to, hey. Hopefully, some of it fucking made sense. Um, but yeah, from yeah, oh, that's what it was. It's because I didn't. They didn't. So she obviously knew the experience of being a teenage parent, and that's probably part of it, was like trauma of like having her son taken away from them, knowing what it was like trying to do life as a teenage parent. So I don't blame them for wanting me gone, you know what I mean? Well, obviously I wasn't me then, this me had to go through a whole lot of 32 years worth of life to be the me I am now. Um, and I'm nowhere near where I even want to be as a human being. You know what I mean? I'm trying to learn and evolve and get rid of shit and get better. And I hope this kind of stuff, doing these POVs, helps me in that journey. One part is just letting it out. To more than just my head, you know what I mean? Just getting it out of my head. Two, it's accountability too, because like, in a way, putting it out there, even though I don't give a fuck what people think, I also don't want to put shit out there and say like I want to do this, I want to do that, or I want to be better and not do it, because then I want you to hold me accountable to that. Even though I probably still don't be like this, fuck you. But it's good. It's good. Accountability is good, and we need to be accountable to ourselves. 100. So I'm learning. I'm fucking learning, man. And there's heaps of shit that I wish, like, that I've learned in the last 4 months 5 months of doing this podcast that I wish I had of. I probably did know, but I never applied to my fucking self. You know what I mean? And I'm learning. We're growing. It's a journey. Life is a journey, but as long as you're on their journey and you continue their journey, a lot of people use the statement Rome wasn't built in a day. You hear that statement, Rome wasn't built in a day. For me, yes, very true. Rome wasn't built in a day, but I think the part of that statement they leave out is that it was. So yes, Rome wasn't built in a day, but the part they leave out is but it was built day by day. So, because you hear the thing, oh, Rome wasn't built in a day, like it's all good, and then you just kick back, relax, and don't do any fucking thing. But you know what I mean. You gotta. Rome wasn't built in a day, sure. Like it didn't build such a great empire. One of the greatest empires the world ever seen when it comes to influence and you know what I mean, all this kind of shit. But they don't build that without doing it daily. Daily deposits, daily deposits. So, hey, I'm trying to be there. I'm trying to live that. I'm trying to be that daily deposits thing. And yeah, and this will be a weekly deposit thing for me here to just sit on here and speak. Um, that was the whole reason that I got into that story about the grandparents. So my grandfather, who's my koro, my dad, my mum's stepdad, but they both were dads. He picks her up out of the shower. They go to the doctor. Obviously, she's pregnant. She's pregnant to my dad. I don't know how, but the grandparents on the other side of there, and they wanted to get rid of her. And when my koro, shout out to him, who actually I carry, my middle name is his name, Te Anaru. Te Anaru. Shout out to Te Anaru, or known as Mahara, or heaps of people call him Anaru, but yeah, Te Anaru, named after his grandfather, who was a politician back in the days. Anyway, Te Anaru Eke uh, Huirama, and he just pretty much told me, or told me that, or my mum tells me that, yeah, he just said to them, I don't give a fuck what you want. My daughter will do whatever she wants. If she wants the baby, we keep the baby. So obviously, as you can see, she fucking kept me. But according to my other koro, so my one in Whakatane, who my mum's real dad, and not just according to him, because I've seen the letters. My mother wrote to him and asked him to keep me. So I was born there up in Whakatane. And this is a part that confuses a lot of people when they ask me, where are you from? Because for me, I don't fucking know, to be honest. Like, I know where my bloodlines go back. Like, I know where I fuck up back to. I know where my where my bloodlines go to, but I don't really know. Like, I never lived in a place long enough to say this is my home. I know, like, Aotearoa, like New Zealand itself is home for sure. But I also know that Australia's home, man. Like for me, like my kids were born here. You know what I mean? Like I was given opportunities here that I would never have ever dreamed of being at home. You know what I mean? Like I'm proud to be in Perth. You know what I mean? I'm proud of this city and the people in it. I'm proud of. Yeah, I'm grateful. That's why my bio says Maori blood Anzac heart. Doesn't mean that I've served in the military, but anybody that knows Anzac, it means Australia New Zealand Army Corps, right? So that means that for us, when you like the Anzac test, that they used to play the Kiwis and the Kangaroos. None of them breathers fucking were in the army. Probably back in the days when they started it, but none of the ones that played fucking in the last 20 years, I don't think we're in the army, or maybe they were, or in the military of any sort. So yeah, I'm not a military dude. To be honest, I don't really. That's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, I don't really. Well, not that I don't agree with military, because I think I think it does create discipline and stuff like that. But I don't agree with a lot of the causes that they fight for or against, because I feel like it's the greed of greedy businessmen and greedy politicians and just yucky stuff that throws real humans into a shit. But I like the discipline that you can learn from it for sure. I've got family members that have served that are still serving now, and they serve with their full heart, and I love that. That's cool, and homies and everything. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Like, so I'm born in Whakatane. I lived in so many places. I've said it multiple times. I went to 17 primary schools, man. Like, That's heaps, cuss. Like how do you have a home when you've lived like me? You lived all over the country from North to South Island. You lived all around Australia and worked all around Australia. Like I don't know, cuz home for me is obviously like I'm proud to be Maori. You know what I mean? I'm proud Maori. I'm proud to be from Aotearoa. Some say, oh, don't call it Aotearoa, but no, whatever. New Tirini, give it whatever name you fucking want to give it. Whatever. But I'm proud to be from that land. But I'm also proud to say that I've lived in Australia for a while and I've been, fortunate, and as a lot of us have. And you can't take that away either. You know what I mean? Like, if I didn't, fuck, who knows where I'll be? I'll probably want to be one of these, boy, fucking, yeah, just running amok. So, mm. But yeah, obviously, like I said, my mom kept me. She didn't end up giving me to my grandparents. Yeah. But to my, because my koro, he had another wife, my nanny Maury. Shout out to her. My koro Pinto, that is. My mum's real dad. Yeah. Life's interesting, eh? Life's interesting. This was only meant to be like 10 minutes, but it's ballooned out to 31 minutes, and I feel like I got more to say, but I probably should go to bed. Um, yeah. We'll continue the story anyway. I just want to shout out to anybody that's following. If you've listened this far, please subscribe. Like straight up, there's so many listeners right now that aren't at all subscribed, but use like listen all the time. And maybe you're just listening or watching on your or watching on your TVs and or like on devices, and you don't have an account like a YouTube account. If you have a Gmail, you can make a YouTube account easy. If you don't have maybe you can use other emails. I don't know, but make one. It takes fuck all. Like if you're putting in the time to listen to these, I'd love to hear what you have to say, what you think, what your opinions are, because Maddie will filter through all the good comments and bring them to the table, even constructive ones. Like, hey, Shubs, you sound too loud. Your hyena laugh is stupid. Like that kind of shit, man. But they're like, hey, Shubs, like, maybe back away from the mic. What, like tips? Yeah, we take tips, man. Like, if it's yucky stuff, like, I don't really want to hear it because, like, then I'll start to try and want to clap back. And yeah, I'm pretty good at the old clapbacks, but it takes up too much of my time, especially when I'm trying to do what I'm trying to do and create as many podcasts as possible. And yeah, trying to cultivate this world we're trying to cultivate. It's time consuming, but yeah. So please, fam, if you are listening and you've listened this far, it would mean the world if you could just subscribe, put some comments, and talk about what you're hearing. You know what I mean? Speak about it. Tell me. Tell Maddie, tell Lecker, tell Stu, tell Uncle Pete, tell anybody that's a guest. If you want to get any messages across to people, if you have anything you want to say that's interesting, that's can add value to what we're doing, comment, man, like it. Share it out to a friend. If you can share it out to a friend or share it out to all your friends, cuss respect. If you actually enjoy this podcast that much that you've come this far and listened to my ass waffle on for 33 minutes, share it out to as many people as you can. All you gotta do is hit the share button, hit that arrow, cuz copy the link and pump it to as many people as you can and say, Fro, check this podcast out. I'm not saying this one, it could be any of the other shows that we do, whether it's the Warriors games that we watch, the NRL review previews. I know some of those, like, last couple I haven't been too good in energy wise, and I'll be better. I will be better at those for sure. Yeah, just whatever UBUs, empathy and energy. There's gonna be more of those. Lega and I filmed the dope ass UBU today too. It was like I wanted to share some of the stuff we spoke on, but I feel like you just gotta watch that. It'll be out in a few weeks. Yeah, in like 2 weeks' time. Check that one out. Check out the next week's one too, because Leka goes in just on his whole situation. But yeah, subscribe, like, share it out. If you don't follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, if you listen to audio podcasts or you're listening to audio podcasts right now, come over to YouTube. Mind the Mic Podcast, same name. Hundreds of videos here, thousands actually, if you include the shorts. So many clips to laugh at, someone that you can find value in, so much. We're doing it different than everybody. We're not just a comedy show. We're not just a deep show. We so many, and people be like, "Oh, find your niche and stick to it." No, fuck you. Our niche is multifaceted. You know what I mean? We're gonna do what we're gonna do, and we believe we'll be successful. And if success means that just people all over the world resonate with it, then that's cool. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna bounce the bed, but so much love and respect for everybody out there that shares our content, that listens to it, that takes their time out of their day. It's an honor. It's an honor from me. It's an honor from Stu. It's an honor from Maddie. It's an honor from Uncle P. It's an honor from Leka. And it's an honor for every single human being that comes on this podcast. Because if you understand that time's the most valuable commodity, which I preach every episode, every interview, then the fact that you take your time to listen to this is dope. Especially me just sitting here talking, like, surely no one's listening now. But if you are still listening, come on YouTube and comment straight up. If you're listening on an audio platform, come over to YouTube, comment on this video, Shubz POV number 4. And if you're on YouTube and you have Spotify on your phone or any of those podcast platforms, go over and push like, man. Push like. Give it a rating. Follow us. It all helps, man. And it makes all of the work even more worth it. You just listening makes it worth it, but it gives it that extra bonus, baby. All right, I better get out of here anyway. It's been 36 minutes. I appreciate you, legends. Big love from Shubz. Mind the mic, baby.